last hearing before Sean Combs' trial starts, when he walked into federal court today, he appeared to be looking for his family. They've pretty much been at all of the hearings that I've been to, but there was no presence of his sons or his mother or his sister who had previously been at those hearings. So here's what came out of today's hearing. Number one, the government acknowledged that they offered Combs a plea deal. Combs acknowledged he has no interest in taking that. They're going to move forward with the trial. They also talked about the jury selection process, which one legal expert I spoke to said is probably the most important thing that you want to pay close attention to before the actual trial starts. And thirdly, we learned that Combs will be adding 2 new attorneys to his defense team. And just to recap, Combs, who is 55 years old, could spend the rest of his life behind bars if convicted on sex trafficking and racketeering. He has pleaded not guilty to all charges.
Major developments tonight involving the case against Sean Diddy Combs, what he decided in court today, and what this now means, the move coming just 4 days before his trial is set to begin. Here's Aaron Katursky.
Diddy was just offered a plea deal to snitch on Jay-Z. And allegedly Jay-Z is worried he might be called to testify in the upcoming trial. As we peel back the layers of this case, Jay-Z's name keeps coming back. And it's clear that Diddy wasn't working alone. This proves that the real mastermind behind Diddy's tracking ring was someone much more powerful. Jay-Z is allegedly getting ready to snitch on Diddy to save his billion-dollar empire. If Jay-Z goes down, Beyoncé is going down with him. More detail. The details of the plea deal haven't been made public. However, sources close to the situation have revealed that the plea deal involved Diddy agreeing to crimes that involved Jay-Z, too. There are even reports that Jay-Z was allegedly the one who told Diddy to reject the deal. The feds wanted Diddy to snitch on other members of his criminal enterprise. However, Diddy said no. Diddy doesn't want to be called a rat because he knows that rats don't survive in prison. The last hearing before Sean Combs' trial starts when he walked into federal court today. He appeared to be looking for his family. They've pretty much been at all of the hearings that I've been to, but there was no presence of his sons or his mother or his sister who had previously been at those hearings. So, here's what came out of today's hearing. Number 1, the government acknowledged that they offered Combs a plea deal. Combs acknowledged he has no interest in taking that. They're going to move forward with the trial. They also talked about the jury selection process, which one legal expert I spoke to said is probably the most important thing that you want to pay close attention to before the actual trial starts. And thirdly, we learned that Combs will be adding 2 new attorneys to his defense team. And just to recap, Combs, who is 55 years old, could spend the rest of his life behind bars if convicted on sex trafficking and racketeering. He has pleaded not guilty to all charges. Major developments tonight involving the case against Sean Diddy Combs. What he decided in court today and what this now means. The move coming just 4 days before his trial is set to begin. Here's Aaron Katursky. Tonight, Sean Combs makes it official. He's rejecting the government's offer to plead guilty and spare himself the possibility of a prolonged term in prison. When asked if he turned down the offer, Combs answered, "Yes, I do, Your Honor," as he stood in a baggy beige jail uniform. Terms were not disclosed, but prosecutors did say a plea could result in a shorter sentence for Combs than if he's convicted. The decision guarantees Combs will face trial beginning just 4 days from now that will test whether one of music's most prolific figures used his power, wealth, and fame to sexually exploit both women and men for decades. Combs has pleaded not guilty to racketeering conspiracies, sexing and transportation to engage in prostitution charges that accused him of coercing alleged victims into prolonged drug-fueled sexual activity that he called freak-offs and threatening them into silence. This isn't the first time that Diddy and Jay-Z have been accused of serious crimes. Jay-Z and Diddy have a history of abbing victims and threatening anyone who stands up against them. Jay-Z actually pleaded guilty to third-degree assault for stabbing Lance Unriva back in December 1999, while Diddy was involved in a shooting in the same year. Jay-Z is violent and dangerous. A top rap star is busted. Jay-Z turned himself in tonight and the cops started working on his rap sheet, accusing him of a stabbing at a trendy party. Kimberly Richardson is at Midtown South right now. Kimberly for Anna. Just a few hours ago, police here at Midtown South arrested Sean Carter, better known as Jay-Z. The rap star voluntarily turned himself in here at the precinct earlier this evening. Now, Carter is being held here in connection with that stabbing fight that erupted at the Kit Kat Club last night. But just a few moments ago, Carter's attorney had this to say. He's not involved in this. Period. He was at the club. That's my only comment. He wasn't involved in this. So, it was someone else that did the stabbing and the hitting. I didn't say that. I said he was not involved in it. Now, Slovis goes on to say that at no time was Jay-Z hiding from the police, that they were in touch with cops all day, and that they're trying to resolve this as gentlemen. But, as Mike Sheen shows us, others say they've seen the dark side of Jay-Z. I have my faults. You know, I'm not a perfect person. A few months ago, Diddy and Jay-Z were both named as defendants in lawsuit. The defendant ended up withdrawing her case after Jay-Z allegedly threatened her. Right after Jay-Z released a public statement addressing the case, Diddy got out of jail under the pretext of a medical emergency. While at the hospital, Diddy made a few calls and a week later, the case was dropped. And a new twist in a high-profile lawsuit accuses rapper Jay-Z of raping a 13-year-old girl in 2000 alongside Sean Diddy Combs. The lawsuit originally filed in October was refiled today to include Jay-Z as a defendant. The anonymous accuser claims the assault occurred at an MTV Video Music Awards afterparty. Jay-Z has denied the allegations in a statement on Roc Nation's Instagram, calling the accusations heinous and urging a criminal complaint be filed instead of a civil one. He also criticized the attorney behind the lawsuit, Tony Busby, accusing him of exploiting the case for personal gain. Now, weeks before the trial was scheduled to start, Jay-Z and Beyoncé were named in another civil lawsuit connected to Diddy. In a civil case filed in Florida on April 1, victim Joseph Manzaro alleges that he was drugged, transported against his will, and sexually maimed as a victim of a coercive and organized criminal enterprise facilitated by Diddy and others back in 2015. Allegedly, Jay-Z and Beyoncé were both present at a freak-off party where this man was abused and raped. This isn't the first time Jay-Z has been brought up in connection to Diddy, and it certainly won't be the last. Sean Diddy Combs is facing new accusations of human trafficking as he awaits his federal trial. In a civil case filed in Florida April 1, Joseph Manzaro alleges, according to court documents obtained by E! News, that he was drugged, transported against his will, and sexually maimed as a victim of a coercive and organized criminal enterprise facilitated by Combs and others back in 2015 and named celebs such as Beyoncé, Jay-Z, and LeBron James as witnesses in the lawsuit. In his filing, Manzaro says the alleged events took place in April 2015. He states that he lost consciousness after feeling a quote greasy substance resembling Vaseline as he opened the front door to his home, after which he says he was transported to another residence where an associate of Combs allegedly told him that the music mogul wanted him brought to a freak-off event. Manzaro alleges in the suit he was secretly transferred to the music producer's home through a concealed tunnel allegedly connected to Gloria Estefan and Emilio Estefan's Miami property. He alleges that upon regaining partial consciousness, he found himself inside a large party area upon information and belief that it was a birthday party for Combs' then 17-year-old son, Christian Combs. There he was allegedly forced to appear in a penis mask. The lawsuit states Jay-Z and Beyoncé Knowles Carter were seated in the room, and upon seeing Manzaro, Beyoncé Knowles Carter asked, "What's this? What's this all about? Why is this half-naked white man with a penis mask standing here in front of me?" Manzaro alleges in the lawsuit that he was then forcibly paraded through multiple rooms filled with people who were jeering and taunting him. High-profile individuals including Jacob Robo, Jay-Z, Gloria Estefan, LeBron James, and Beyoncé Knowles Carter are identified as witnesses due to their presence or knowledge of the events surrounding the freak-off orchestrated by defendant Diddy. Wow! And freak-off, of course, is something that we've heard many times before, both in Combs' criminal case and other civil cases, to describe these prolonged sexual episodes, usually with sex workers. But Manzaro is suing Sean Combs. He is suing a man named Eric Mahias. He is suing Brendan Paul, who's been described in another lawsuit as Sean Combs' drug mule. Emilio Estefan, who is married to pop superstar Gloria Estefan, and Audria English, who filed her own lawsuit against Sean Combs, claiming she too was a victim of sex trafficking. By the way, it's interesting he's not suing these other celebrities that I mentioned, like Jay-Z and Beyoncé and Gloria Estefan, possibly because he doesn't believe their alleged liability amounted to a civil claim, but seems to want to call them as witnesses at a trial. Although I have to imagine they will do everything in their power to quash any subpoena should this case progress, and we'll talk a little bit more about whether or not it will. Jay-Z has responded to the allegations and, as you can probably guess, denied them. That alleged freak-off reportedly happened in 2015 at both Gloria and husband Emilio Estefan's Miami mansion and Diddy's Going to Get You. That's where a new accuser claims he was sexually and humiliated by Diddy. And he says Beyoncé, Jay-Z, and Gloria all witnessed his abuse but allegedly did nothing. Yeah, let's skip over that. Okay, I don't like it at all. Gloria and Emilio denying the claims, telling ET there were no parties thrown at that property between 2012 and 2019. The couple says they have documents to back their denial and will provide them in court if necessary. I could not believe what I was hearing. As for Jay-Z, son, his rep tells ET he wasn't in Florida at that time to witness this incident. He was engaged in easily findable public activities that prove he was not at